on WDET, Detroit Public Radio. I'm Robin Vincent.
And I'm Kerry Jr. II, in for Tia Graham. We know Detroit is having a moment, especially downtown, where sports arenas have been playing and hosting to the Detroit Lions, the Pistons, and the Red Wings, and soon the Tigers again. These arenas are also the venues where big-name artists and performers draw people from across the state. And in April of last year alone, the Downtown Detroit Partnership counted over 100,000 visitors.
But what has this energy and economic momentum meant for people working in these venues? A survey led by a Wayne State researcher tells us that they're struggling to make ends meet. Over 60% of respondents say they're living paycheck to paycheck. Meanwhile, over half face more dire financial circumstances, with over 50% at or below the federal poverty line. To understand more about these findings and what can be done to support workers in Detroit, Kes Ballantyne joins us. She's a professor of social work and an expert in low-paid labor conditions and work-family strain at Wayne State University, and she led the survey. Professor Ballantyne, thanks for joining us on the Metro.
Thanks for having me.
So first, you prepared this survey for the Industry Standards Board of Sports Arenas. That board was created by the Detroit City Council. Why was the board created, and what does it aim to do?
So industry standards boards are a relatively new policy in the United States where city councils, municipalities, counties are creating these boards that, in their best case scenario, like the Detroit Industry Standards Board, invites governmental representatives, employees, and employers to sit down together and consider best practices for job quality and working conditions for a specific labor sector. So here in Detroit, the Industry Standards Board for sports arena workers is the first one. Any labor sector can petition the city to create one of these boards. This is the first one here in Detroit. And so the workers in the arenas decided that this would be potentially beneficial for them and petitioned the city, and here we are.
Now, we mentioned some of the findings in this survey, namely that arena workers are struggling financially. Could you talk more about the wages and benefits that workers are missing out on in Detroit's arenas?
So what we see is that there are a couple of different major types of employees at the arenas. So we have stagehands, maintenance workers, cleaning staff, and game day employees. And we see big differences in the job quality for maintenance workers and stagehands who have fairly good job quality, higher wages, access to benefits, paid sick leave, retirement accounts. And then game day workers and cleaning staff who have much lower wages. They have very little access to basic workplace benefits like healthcare, paid sick leave, et cetera. And so we see this dichotomy that I hope that the Industry Standards Board can help close.
I mean, when you think about the number of people who have to come on board and work on game days, I mean, that's when the downtown corridor really comes to life. And so these are the folks who are really holding a lot on their shoulders. And I want to bring Portia Perry into the conversation. She is an arena worker, and she's also on the Standards Board of Sports Arenas. Portia, I realize you only have a few minutes to chat because you're working today. So thank you for joining us.
You're more than welcome. Good morning.
Tell me what the working conditions have been like for you as an arena worker.
Well, as an arena worker, the working conditions, we have low wages, we have safety concerns, we have child care concerns. We also have transportation issues, which kind of takes time from our families, and we have to leave early, and sometimes we have to leave early from work to get home at a certain time because the buses stop running or it's too bad out.
And I'm guessing on game days, that's when everyone is kind of bracing themselves because you're dealing with so many more people, a lot of whom can get really rowdy, and it feels a little bit wild.
Yes.
How will the survey findings inform the work that you're doing on the Industry Standards Board of Sports Arenas?
So the survey findings, it will define, like, it talks about wages, health care, safety concerns, a lot of issues that are not really talked about. So the survey was private for the employees, so they have an opportunity to get their voices heard.
Yeah, I mean, and you're talking about problems that a lot of workers in the city of Detroit are facing. Was it hard, did you find, to get some of your coworkers to want to be a part of this, to raise their voices just because of concerns about being out there, even though they were replying to it privately?
I don't believe it was hard. I mean, because as an employee, I took the survey, so I wanted them to know that I was on a team. I'm part of where they come from. So if I can do it, I know they can do it as well.
Portia Perry, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to chat with us and tell us about your experiences. You're listening to The Metro on WDET. I'm Robin Vincent.
And I'm Carrie Jr. II, in for Tia Graham. We're speaking with Kes Ballantyne. She's a professor of social work and an expert in low-paid labor conditions and work-family strain at Wayne State University. And she led a survey that found many arena workers in Detroit are struggling to make ends meet. Now, Professor Ballantyne, the response rate for the survey wasn't high. How much of a challenge is it getting people to speak out against their employers in this way?
Well, it's very challenging to run this type of employee survey. We had support from local labor advocates, union leaders, et cetera, to try to spread the survey. However, we did not have an opportunity to, for example, send the survey out through employee listservs. So many of these workers we were not able to reach. We did try. We had a press conference. So when the survey was still open, we were trying to get news coverage to let people know, hey, if you're an arena worker, please know about this. And I have a publicly available website, isbresearch.wayne.edu, where the report can be seen and people could sign up to participate in the survey. We will have another opportunity coming up in March for arena workers to participate in surveys, and this one will be compensated. So if you are an arena worker listening to this, or you know an arena worker and their voice was heard and they want to speak some more, or it wasn't heard before, there are continuing opportunities to inform the work of the board. So it is challenging, but we're going to keep trying to find different ways for people to raise their voice. They can also come to a meeting and provide written or public spoken testimony at a board meeting. So there are, it is hard to reach people. Mm-hmm. This is a large group of people, and we were kind of using organizing approaches.
And there's an added incentive in there as well. In addition to the low response rate, what are some of the caveats to this survey that you think are important to note?
Well, we definitely missed out on some people. So security guards, we know there are a lot of security guards working at the arenas, but we really didn't have access to security guards. So one of our goals in this next stage is to get more security guards, get their perspective. So, the findings are representative of the groups that we were able to survey: stagehands, maintenance, cleaning, game day staff.
And you said that this is a large group. How many people are we talking here that you want to eventually get represented in your survey?
Yes. Well, so we only have approximations of how many people work in the surveys or in the arenas. And so I think that this speaks a little bit to, this is a new policy approach. We're figuring out how to even run an industry standards board in the city. And so I think, one thing we can think about is how can we work better together? What mechanisms could we share to get everybody's voice heard? So I think that's a continuing question that we should consider. But in the meantime, I think that we just need to think about specific groups. So we don't have exact numbers from the employers as far as how many security guards work, but we approximate based on data we do have that there are about 3,000 workers in these arenas overall, unique people. But again, most of these people are also working at the casinos. They're these jobs, a lot of them are not full-time, so they're piecing together a full-time job across a couple of
different locations.
But their employer is often the same because most of these are contracted workers. They're not directly employed by the arena.
What has the employer response been to the survey?
I don't know their response. I haven't gotten any feedback from anyone about the survey from that perspective.
And you sent it directly. Have they seen the survey? Or have you sent it to the employers?
Well, it was presented at the November Industry Standards Board meeting, and many employers were there.
Okay. All right.
Sounds like something for us to follow up on.
Right. Definitely. Let's zoom out, if we could. How do these circumstances speak more broadly to working conditions for people in the city?
I think that's a really important, if not the most important question about this, is that one of the questions I got from the board was, well, is this representative to other arena workers? And we don't know a lot about arena workers specifically, like in other cities. But what I can tell you, having worked with healthcare workers and other low-paid job sectors, these are the same issues that all low-paid workers are facing. There's this what I believe to be a problematic dichotomy between so-called skilled and unskilled workers. And that's kind of what I think we're seeing here. Certainly the stagehands are skilled workers. There's very specific safety standards they have to meet to keep us all safe, make sure the stages don't fall down or blow over or things like that. However, I don't know how to serve 2,000 hot dogs. I would have no idea how to do that.
Yeah,
I don't know
efficiently.
how, And so I think that we need to think differently about what counts as a skill. These are people's careers. This isn't like a little short-term thing. We see tenure. People are working at these jobs 5, 6, 7 years. The average, even for part-time workers, was like 4 years. So this is like, people are committed to this as a job, and we need to start thinking about jobs quality as a way that we can improve our community well-being. It helps individuals' well-being, it helps the full family's well-being, and then thereby helping the community. So I think that we could think about, there's a lot of things we can't change that are social determinants of health, or they're very hard to change. Job quality is a social determinant of health that might be easier to adjust.
Now, paying workers more money to do these jobs seems like the obvious solution here, but that's not always the easy solution. How do you think workers should move forward in getting more benefits and higher pay?
For sure. I think we can think about total compensation. So if specific wage increases are not possible or not possible now, then are we thinking about subsidizing their healthcare costs, subsidizing childcare costs, improving transit in the city so that people can get to work faster, easier, with less time. So anything that could increase their working hours, like scheduling policies, are something we could look at. So thinking about where are the strains, where are the limits in job quality, and what kind of creative solutions could be made to improve the full compensation and reduce the strain.
Kes Ballantyne is a professor of social work and an expert in low-paid labor conditions and work-family strain at Wayne State University. She led a survey that shows arena workers in Detroit are struggling to make ends meet. Professor Ballantyne, thank you so much for shedding a light on this and for joining the Metro.
Thank you so much for having me.
Coming up at 11, more and more students are using AI tools like ChatGPT, but so are teachers. Will that help or hurt education in the United States? We want to hear from you. What role do you think AI should have in education? The number is 313-577-1019. And in sports, the Pistons routed the Bulls 132-92 in Chicago. Malik Beasley scored 24 points for Detroit, which is now 2 games above 500. The same teams play again tonight at the United Center. This is WDET-FM, Detroit Public Radio, your connection to news, music, and conversation, and this is The Metro.